Well, hello guys. We've got another
Hi.
another round of the Healer's Corner, and tonight we're going to talk about breath work. And I say we when really it's Maria talking about breath work. We were talking before we went live that our common shaman teacher had us do this a few times, and I struggled to keep up with him. So I'm out. I didn't get to really experience because I couldn't keep up with the rapid fire. But you have not only done it with not only Zane, but with Kahuna Harry and a few
Mhm.
other ways. So you have more knowledge in this and
Mhm.
can speak on it. But I feel like one of the first things we need to say, and that was the first thing you put in our show notes, was like breathing exercise is not a replacement for medical, while beneficial, are not intended to replace medical advice or treatment for any underlying health conditions. And I feel like that's across the board on anything we ever talk about on any episode, unless we actually have a medical doctor, which we do have plans for. So don't worry. Don't worry, guys. Now, Maria, let's get in there and what is like some of the benefits of actually doing breath work in spiritual or even physical type of uh, like properties advancements and stuff like that.
Well, as far as physical is concerned, um, it will support you with detoxification. It can lower blood pressure and heart rates. It will help you to calm down. Okay. So when you're getting anxiety, when you know anxiety is kicking in, or when you're getting stressed out, if you just take some time, at least 10 minutes, just doing some breath work. It will help calm you down. It will help calm you with your heart rate, and it will get you a little bit of clarity. That's another thing that I noticed when I started doing this. I got clear. I got clear on thoughts. I started to pause. I started just say, okay, everything is overwhelming. I need to take time, 10 minutes. That's it. Okay. Um, when I initially started doing meditation, I was trained to pay attention to my breath. A lot of people, they have different type of forms of meditation, but when you initially like, oh, I have these thoughts going, I can't quiet my mind. When you start focusing on your breath, the in and out, it will start to calm down the mind, and then you can go into a meditative state. So that was the one thing that I started when I started doing meditation, and it did work for me because it helps you to calm down. It helps you to just pay attention and listen to your breath. But there's also other physical that it can help your immune system. If you suffer from allergies, if you take in, because what is breath? It's a life force. That's what it is. So is this invisible thing that we are swimming in every single day of our lives, 24/7, 365 days a year. It's a life force. But when you deliberately take it in, it starts to expand in your body, in your vessel, and it'll give you a lot of the benefits of building up your immune system, detoxing the body, calming your heart rate. You get more clarity. You have energy boosts because that is what it is. It's an energy. So those are the physical aspect, and I have found out as I was doing this in my spiritual practice, and a lot of spiritual practices, they do some kind of breath work, some kind. Unless you decide to go to a workshop, it's all breath work, but they do some kind of breath work. Every single modalities that I have gone to, we did some kind of breath work. So the spiritual aspects to this is that you get Allah centered. You connect with your higher self to divine, and you also create a sense of being present and being mindful. You access a higher state of consciousness. You balance your vital energy that's within your vessel, and you help release some emotion, maybe the stress emotion. Um, it's not a physical emotion, it's a stress emotion. It's an anxious, being anxious, anxiety. You release some of those emotions. And it also, I always pay attention to my heart when I do breath work. It opens up your heart chakra. And that was the one thing that I feel beneficial is opening up the heart chakra, because in this time frame, in everything that we do, it has to start with the heart. You know, in any kind of spiritual modality or any spiritual work that you do, it starts with the heart, because you're paying attention to your clients, you're paying attention what they need. So the heart will be open. You have to open that heart. And when you bring in that life force into your body, it does expand your heart. Um, I also noticed that I feel a little bit more energetic, not just physically, but spiritually. I feel energetic. My clarity has come through. I can focus on what I need to be done, like that project that you did like 2 weeks ago, never completely finished. When you start doing breath work, and if you, especially if you put it in your meditation, and you will get the clarity. You will know how to finish that project that you started 2 weeks ago. So it's really beneficial. I know that also when you take the life force into your body, you might notice some when you the stress is being calm and you're calmer. You're not gonna look as older. I don't want to say, you're not, because it's a life force, it's an energy, it's an invisible thing that we live in every single day.
I know I personally, and I was just looking this up to make sure I was going to remember and state this correctly. And when you have said for like some of the physical benefits, I had came across years ago. I think they would call it a box type of breathing, but for falling asleep, where you
Mm-hmm.
inhale for 4, you hold for 7, and then you exhale for 8.
Mm-hmm.
And it really did help, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Um, helped quieted the mind, all of the what did I forget? Don't forget to do this tomorrow. Did you do this? And just the mind spiraling. It really did help in that whole falling asleep. And the military actually uses that for their
Because it calms you down. That's what it
Mhm.
does. It calms you down.
So and I'm sure there are videos around online that if you're like a visual person that you need to follow like the expanding circle or being walked through. I'm sure there's videos everywhere for that. um but it's funny because even there are health apps that will have like little breathing parts of it that will walk you through some breathing to help lower heart rate and bring you back to center. um so that's a great thing. I have the whole visible armband and the app, and like right underneath like all of your daily things is breathing, you know. So we are not sponsored by Visible, but they would like to sponsor us. We would not. Um, but like breath work can be used in so many ways. And I think even as little kids, I'm sure we all heard like teachers, parents say like take a deep breath,
Mm-hmm.
think about what you need to say, or settle down out of what you might be feeling that's overwhelming, take a deep breath. And it's almost like that instinctual in a
Mm-hmm.
way.
Mm-hmm.
um, but you have had more practice in using it on purpose
Yes.
for meditation and spiritual work. uh like were there one of the practices that you thought or that might be like your favorite for achieving like a certain type of spiritual goal?
Well, like sometimes if I come across a client and I know that I needed to have more life force inside of my vessel to help this client, I will do this breathe in 6, hold 3, breathe in 6, hold 3, and I will do, and The client's not paying attention to what I'm doing, because they have their eyes closed, they're ready for the healing. So I do about 3 cycles of that, and I'm just expanding so I can take more of the healing energy in my vessel to give to them. Or I can have more of my healing energy that I'm taking in so I can remove whatever that needs to be removed from that client. So that is my favorite tool to do. And sometimes I even have my clients started doing taking a deep breath in, breathe out, and I walk them through it. Um, it's just to prepare their body of what's going to happen. That I'm doing this healing, I'm removing. So I'm expanding their vessel also. So that is my favorite is 6363. That is my favorite go to.
Now you said breathe in for 6, hold for 3. What's the exhale?
The exhale is 6.
Okay.
So you breathe in so you empty out your lungs, you breathe in 6, you hold 3, you exhale 6, you hold 3, then you breathe in again, and you just go through the cycle 3 times.
Now that would be kind of considered like that box breathing, right? Where it's whole in there,
Yes.
they're even numbered or the same numbered. Um,
Yes.
Now that's your favorite. Which one have you found, and it might be the same thing, right? The most effective for, say like getting the consciousness to raise?
Oh, that one I would go about a 99696. And I go with the for some reason I like the odd numbers. I don't really, I like the odd numbers, like 6 and 3. I mean, 6 is an even number. I do that because that's how I was trained, and that's my go-to for healing. But when I do just the consciousness or I get ready for meditation, it would be, the 9, 3, 9, 6, something with the odd numbers. But as long as you keep consistent, like you breathe in 9, you hold 3, you exhale 9, you have to be consistent. Get your body to a rhythm so it will be consistent. Now, you can also have music playing in the background if that's going to help you. For me, it's disturbing because my mind is going to music. Um, or you can even use visualization. I I put myself to my favorite spot. It's a favorite spot of mine that I have created when I was in meditation. So it could be a garden, it could be the metro parks, it could be like by a waterfall that you like, or
Mhm.
even a tree. A big tree. I like the banyan trees. I grew up around the banyan trees, so sometimes I imagine the banyan trees that I'm there, and then I'm doing the count. But be consistent. Um, the military, the one that you said, the 478, or is
Mhm.
that the sleeping one?
Oh,
That
like this
one,
one. Yeah.
yeah, that one I might get a little bit. That may take a little bit practice for me to do. Um, Sometimes if I need to calm myself down when I need to sleep, I my go to is the 6363. That is my go to. It's a pattern that I'm used to. It's a pattern that I use in my healing. I don't know. It might take a little bit longer for the 478 for me.
Yeah, I was a little skeptical when I tried it, but then next thing I knew, like I was falling asleep quicker than normal and stuff. So, and part of it, me, because I have to analyze everything and be like, why does this work so well? And I'm like, is it because I'm so concentrating on counting and holding that the mind just shuts off all of that clutter of the day and what tomorrow is going to bring? And, and maybe for me, that's why it worked. But, um, I'm like, I should go back to that. I forgot about it. I got off of it and I should probably go back to doing that, in the evening. And I should say also doing this in a relaxed state, not having um, a bunch of TV or something else on that's going
Hmm.
to, keep pulling you out of that. But that 4-7-8 was really good for, you know, sleeping.
So it's taken 4, hold 7, taken 8,
No,
and then
yeah, breathe in 4, hold for
uh-huh,
7, exhale 8.
exhale 8. Okay.
Yeah. And then, just keep repeating that. There was no having to hold between the exhale and the inhale. So it's just kind of like a nice slow type of breathing, um, to kind of like rest the mind, rest the body, preparing for sleep. So I can vouch for that one. So I'm like, oh, that's my experience in breath work that I got to participate in and worked, because me and rapid fire breathing are not friends. Um,
No, but it is great when you understand the what's happening when you do that.
mhm. Now,
Yeah.
you were able to keep up with our teacher when he would do that, because he did that a few times throughout the apprenticeships, because you and I have sat through that apprenticeship multiple times.
Hmm.
So I know he's done it more than once. And by the second and or third time that he would do it, I'm like, well, I guess I'm just sitting here for a little while till this is done. I already know I can't do it. But you were able to follow along with him and experience. And like, what did that feel like for you? What did you get out of doing that rapid fire breath work?
I felt like I was going out of my body, literally. I
Mhm.
feel like my body was gonna pass out, and my spiritual consciousness was rising. And it was really interesting because part of you is trying to keep up with him. You also notice your consciousness is rising. It's cool, once you get there, and then when it keeps going, it's like, oh, if you keep going, my body is gonna fall. My spirit is just gonna rise, you know. But it just felt it wasn't exhausting to me. It was kind of refreshing. And that's not the only teacher that I have done this with. I have also done it with a kahuna where he did, he was like, it wasn't the rapid fire that we did with Zane, but he did also a rapid. He calls it the ha breath.
Did you have the same type of experience with the kahuna ha breath as you did with Zane's?
Yes, yes, because they get you into an altered state, and it's it's really hard to explain that altered state until you experience it. It's really hard. Like you can't explain when you first did it what happened. Well, the altered state for me, and the only way I can explain it is that it seems like I was leaving my body. I was literally feeling my consciousness had rise. Now, did it rise to meet with my higher self? Or did a part of me rise when you are sleeping? Because a part of your soul leaves your body when you're sleeping. It's like so. And then once the breathing exercise stopped, I felt like a hard like landing. That's what I felt like. So part
Mhm.
of me was like, "Oh God, thank you for stopping. Thank you for concluding the breath work." But I felt like a hard like somebody just pulled me out of the atmosphere and right back into your body.
Maybe not jealous of experiencing that feeling. I mean, I got to participate up to a certain point. Like he got so fast that there was just no way my lungs could just move that quick. Um, and quite honestly, if Zane, if you're listening, you can yell at me the next time you see me. That is not something I have tried to practice outside since, So I'm like, there are other ways to achieve that feeling and connect with higher self, higher consciousness, the beings and earth, spirits around me. I don't need to hyperventilate um, to experience that. Um, I'm sure I will get a, he probably wouldn't even- he would just be like, okay, with that little head nod that he does, okay. Um, um,
I have tried it outside the rapid fire. I have tried it, but I don't go in the pace that I know it should be a faster pace. But I don't go in the pace that he went,
hmm,
and I still achieve the ultra state. I still achieve it, but not
okay.
in that fast pace. Yeah.
That's probably just the most important part right there is just making sure you achieve that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Now, did you do any breath work in with Silva? Because I know you've done Silva too.
Yes, I did.
Okay.
Um, that was actually that was the introduction. That was the introduction that I had. And then we went off to pranic healing, and that was another introduction. And that's when I realized, there must be something to this, So I continued doing it, and I do feel more grounded. I what I do in the morning is I may not do the a lot of sequence. I may just do maybe one or two sequence, and then I go straight into meditation. And then when I come out of meditation, I still do another sequence again.
Hmm.
So I don't, I, it's just something that I'm used to. It takes, like they said, it takes 21 days to create a habit. It takes about, 45 days to get rid of a habit. So I just made a point to include it in, and now it's just become a habit. So it's the breath of life. That's basically what it is, you know,
Mhm.
taking in more oxygen. And the oxygen is going to benefit your body as well as spiritual.
Guys, we are talking about shamanic breathing tonight. We, as in Maria, she's got more experience than I do. If you have any questions of how breath work can help physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, now is your time to ask. If you were not with us in the beginning, we did kind of go over, Maria, a couple of different breathing patterns, like your favorite and your most effective. And we
Hmm.
went for one for falling asleep that even the military uses because it is so effective. Um, do you have a good breath pattern for, say, anxiety?
Well, it's basically each individual, they might have a pattern that they like. I have tried the 4 4 4 4. I have tried that.
Mhm.
For me, it's too short. So, y- yeah, I know people are like, you're holding your breath for 4. I don't know if I can do that. You can start simply just doing like 2 2 2 2 and see how that goes. And then just slowly, go up and go up and go up. You can also do like I like the 6 3 6 3 or 9 6 9 6. You can use it, but keep a pattern going. My go-to has always been the 6 3 6 3. And
Okay.
here's a little a trick, and someone taught me this a while back. If you are driving late at night and the radio is not keeping you up, and the cold air that's coming in the car with the windows down is not doing it, and you notice your eyelids are starting to droop because you're falling asleep, but you have to get to your destination. If you pull on the side and you do one of the breath works, the count, do a sequence of 5, and also right here, under here, and just keep tapping.
Like on the
It will
breast.
wake you up. Yeah, and right here, underneath, yeah, and just keep tapping. It will wake you up, and then you can proceed to go to your destination.
Huh.
Um, that is a tool that someone taught me a long time ago. Um, and he just taught me. He taught me this tool. I incorporated the breath. I was like, well, if the breath works, clears your mind, and it wakes you up, why don't you incorporate the two? And I have done that, Um, I know that I had to drive down, I believe it was Michigan, and all I had was probably maybe 3 hours sleep. And I was on the Ohio Turnpike to get into Michigan. I knew I was falling asleep, so I pulled on the side and I did that. And then once I felt wide awake and alert, I continued on. And then once I got down there, I had to go to a class, a workshop. So it's not like I could go there, check into the hotel room, and just crash. I couldn't do that. I had to go into a workshop. So periodically during the day on the breaks, I did that, and I was wide awake throughout the whole entire workshop.
Hmm. I do know
So
that
that
like
is,
the rubbing on the breastbone, like if you put enough pressure,
mhm,
like it can be painful. And I think there are some medical professionals, EMTs, like I don't know if they still do this, but if somebody's losing consciousness and you're trying to keep them awake, like they will rub and tap on that breastbone because it's so uncomfortable. It
mhm.
kind of jolts you. So, could be where I fall asleep while driving only because like I get really bad road hypnosis. So now that you've said this, next time I have to go drive somewhere that's more than 15, 20 minutes down the road, I'm going to be driving like this the whole time. Like, stay awake, stay awake. um,
it, it really works. I mean, it's not because I'm saying it, it's because I tried it. and and I also could not just go and crash somewhere. I went into a workshop that lasted till about 7 o'clock.
was it a pranic workshop?
Hmm. Yeah,
Oh, I
Master
think it was.
Crow. Yeah, it's supposed to end at 5, and he keeps you there. Yeah,
I mean, it's hard with some of these teachers to like want to leave and want to end, you know?
there's just so much information. Yeah.
And just being able to pick their brain and learn things and just it's amazing. I was always sad when our shaman weekends were over because I just wanted to keep,
Going.
experiencing and learning. And I feel
Yeah.
like it would be the same way if I can ever get into Master Co, but I need him to come a little more east in the country for me to get to him in one of his classes. Um, but I will definitely have to try that breathing and the tapping while driving because I get to the point where it doesn't matter how cold the car is, how loud the music is, like I am like nodding off and swerving. And
Hmm.
the only thing that will break that is I have to get out of the car and like go walk around a little bit and then I'll wake up and be okay and then start driving again. And after about an hour and a half ish, it will settle back in. And I'm like, so a 4 hour drive turns into like 6 or 7 because I have to stop, not to pee, but to wake up. So I'm like, "Oh, now I have another, tool to try and
Yeah.
help make that go quicker and easier."
Yeah. And it does work. I tried it.
But I figured tonight might be a little shorter because it's breath work. I feel like if we wanted to get more in depth on certain parts, we could make whole topics just the spiritual aspect and go into different counts and how to do it. Maybe even have those watching live with us, maybe participate in a couple rounds of that. Um, but I think tonight was just like, hey, did you know this was a thing? And, here's some information. Go down the rabbit hole, learn and experience and see what, piques your interest. Um, but Maria, you are all about, doing it. And I didn't realize you incorporated it so much in like even your daily, life.
Hmm.
And even in when you're doing healing work for your clients, that you are doing it for yourself. And you're kind of even guiding them in some of those exercises without them even realizing in a way to help
Yeah.
them relax and accept the healing work or to release the things.
Well, it's more my benefit because the healing work becomes easier for me.
Well, now the secret's out. We're all just breathing for Maria's ease here.
It's for my benefit because it'll be easier for them to calm down. It's be easier for them to get through the healing session, and just go ahead. They're calm enough and they're going, especially when they're going into a trance. It'll be easier for them to get into a trance, get into that state of, once I get that client centered, once I get that client calm, it's easier for me to go in there and I'll do what I need to do, you know. So yeah, it's for my benefits.
Aha, secrets out. I think there's a lot of good work and good spiritual work that can be done in breath work, and taking the time to learn it and use it, put it in your toolbox, help manage your day, get through stressful situations at work or school, and then meditation. Are you trying to get better at meditating? Are you trying to calm that mind to hear your guides, or to even just receive messages from the universe, be it guides, angels, those that have crossed over? It's a lot of calming the mind, and breath work, conscious breath work
Hmm.
is a
Yeah.
really good starting point. Did you find that your like mediumship ability got better when you started incorporating on a more conscious level of the breath work?
Yes. And it wasn't a road that I wanted to be going to. I was happy being a healer, just a healer. I was happy doing that. But when I started getting messages that had nothing to do with a person's healing, and I started getting messages of, I didn't know where it was coming from. It was a knowing. And it was after I started implementing the breath work into my practice. Once you start, once so many different teachers do a form of it, you start, there has to be something to this, because this teacher talked about it, this teacher talked about it. What is going on here? So that's when I started, like, okay, let me do this on my own. I know the count sequence, I know how to get there. I just have to practice it and make it a habit. And that's when I started getting messages for clients. Like I said, it wasn't something I wanted to do or I had any ambitions to be a part of, but it just started coming. And I wasn't sure if it's something that I was making up or something that spirit was giving me. So I had to really, I ended up taking a workshop just to make sure. That's what I had to do. Because I wasn't sure, it wasn't something that I anticipated doing. I was just happy healing.
You got the
And
hang
that
of it
came up.
on accident. Like, this is going along better, but here's this extra little benefit that you are not planning on. I find that
Yeah.
happens a lot in spiritual work. Like, you think you're
Mhm.
focusing on this, and then here comes all this other stuff, and I think that's what
Mhm.
gets some people overwhelmed in a way. Um,
Yes.
and I know you've heard it when customers have come into the store that they're working on this, but then here's all this other stuff. And they're just feeling so overwhelmed and lost, and they're just looking for some help and guidance. And that's when I start funneling them to the proper person who can answer some of those questions, or help them learn a little more on what's going on, which I like doing. I like hearing people expanding and helping them
Hmm.
figure out what's going on, and like send them to the proper teacher. um it's just fun. I like doing it. Every now and then you get something that I'm like, "I have no idea." Um, we're gonna start over here and see what comes of this, but I'll tell you right off the bat, like, I don't know. It could be, so let's go over here and talk to this person real quick, and get a better understanding.
And that's another thing too. When I started getting messages, I didn't realize it. I started really investigating. I said, what is happening? What is this? And because one of the spiritual benefits is that you get a connection to the higher self, which is foremost your front center guide is your higher self. So you get connected to the higher self, and then the higher self is connected to divine and all the things. So you could be, you might have a talent for being a psychic. You might have a talent to do card readings, tarot, or oracle. You may have a talent, but it has not really come into fruition. So when you start doing the breath work and the meditation and started building that up, I've had clients also, I tried doing the tarot. And I said, oh, honey, I tried doing the tarot too, but for me, this works better. I go, it's not that I don't have them. I use them personally, but for me, this works better because I don't get the interruption of trying to connect to the client, to the card, and the messages that I'm getting. So it also, yeah, it might lead to that for some people once you start implementing the breath work and then going on to adding the meditation, it might lead there.
I know we were talking earlier about going more in depth, maybe on breath work on different parts of it to give them their whole episode, just so we can really do deep dives. Today was kind of a here's some generalized benefits, here's how to do some simple ones, get comfortable with that, see if you want to go down that rabbit hole at another later date when you're Googling on the couch. Yeah, we thank you guys for joining us for shamanic breathing and breath work and how it can help you in many different ways. We hope that you can join us again on the next round of the Healer's Corner, live on Tuesdays, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Come ask questions, visit, find like minded people to feel safe and comfortable with. Maria, you got any parting words for the night?
No, just do it. That's all, that's the only way you're going to find out. It's hard for me to explain, but just try it. It doesn't hurt.
All right. Well, have a good night, guys, and we will see you next time.
Good night.